All right, welcome in everybody. Episode 1 of the Hot Corner with AJ and Alex. My co-host AJ, and we are joined with special guest Ethan Petry of the South Carolina Gamecocks. I know AJ, I know you're excited for this one.
Oh, absolutely.
Coming on too.
Ethan, how we doing today?
Good. Just ready for the Fall World Series.
Are you going to hit another 109, or are you going to try to go 110 today?
We'll see. I mean, we got to get a win today because we got to force a home run derby.
I like that. Especially
is that the tiebreaker?
Yeah, so we didn't have enough pitching to play 3 games, so we got to do a tiebreaker for a home run derby.
Now, would it be 1v1 or like a 3v3 deal?
It's a 4v4, but 3 guys are hitters and 1 guy's a pitcher.
Ooh. Need to record that one.
Yeah,
you need to win so we can record that.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
So Ethan, how's the fall been going for you, man?
Good. I'm enjoying it a lot. It's just we've been hitting really good, pitching really good, and the team looks really solid.
Yeah, seems like last year it was, if you knew what you had on the mound, and then a lot of who's going to step up at the plate. And this year, it's kind of the opposite. I think you're losing Wimmer and McGillis. And then outside of that, you potentially could be returning every starting position player. Obviously, you're going to try to slide in right field to start out the year instead of a weekend this time. But the mound is really Eli had a ton of big innings last year. You got guys like Austin Williamson and Chris Veach who proved that they can be guys out of the pen. Mm-hmm. Matthew Becker's obviously been there, but I think the question mark this year is the pitching. What have you seen from the new guys coming in to kind of bolster those returners?
They've been great. Our transfers have been great. Even the young guys, even the freshmen, are going to be insane on the mound. They've been really good, really electric on the mound, and they have the guts to have what it takes to pitch in the SEC, and it's been showing all fall. I mean, we've had like 4 freshmen that are just dominant against our top tier hitters, so it's been really good to see.
Yeah, you always need more pitching.
Yep. Yeah.
So Ethan, who is the pitcher you least look forward to facing?
This year probably Tyler Pitzer. He's a freshman who's like really good, like 24 inches of horizontal break on his slider.
Wow, that doesn't sound very fun.
Yeah, that's not fun. He's a stud, and he's a competitor.
Yeah, you always like when those guys are in your uniform.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right, so I don't know how much y'all paid attention in the locker room yesterday to the permanent opponent release. I imagine, one of those teams definitely caught y'all's eye. The South Carolina-Florida series, that's always –
Yep.
I think it's arguably the best baseball you're going to see in the SEC East. A series, no matter where it is, every year. It's going to be highly competitive, highly talented baseball, and it's highly contentious. They were number 1 when they came into Founders, and y'all swept them. But they've also knocked us out of the playoffs, out of the postseason the last 2 years. What was kind of South Carolina's reaction, or your reaction to seeing Florida be one of the permanent opponents?
Well, yeah, I mean, seeing that, you just know you're going to play them every year just because they're always a dominant force, and, it's always going to be a tough series, and having them be the opponent permanently, I mean, you gotta bring your best every time against them, and, you can't count Kentucky out either because I believe they're on the same caliber as them, and they're very talented, very small ballish, and they come out and do everything for the team, for their teammates, and they're very selfless, and they're coached very well over there in Kentucky too.
Yeah, you definitely can't overlook Kentucky. This isn't Kentucky of what people thought they were, 4 or 5 years ago. This is a team that hosted a regional, went into Baton Rouge and beat LSU. I believe they had the most runs scored off of Paul Skeens in a full game. I know South Carolina tried to push it, but the weather got in the way. But that's a very, very gritty team that just wears on you. And one of those teams who I see on the schedule, and I'm not happy to be playing that kind of team.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, we got a pretty tough one. And that's how it is in the SEC. I mean, everybody's tough.
Yeah, you're not going to get an easy one.
Yeah.
So where's your favorite place to play in the SEC other than Founders?
Probably Mississippi State.
Yeah, you like the dude. The dude is legendary.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, their fans are awesome, and they're very welcoming, and they give you food after the series, even if win or lose. So they're very class act.
Yeah, never going to say no to free food, especially there. They know how to cook.
Mm-hmm.
So where are you looking forward to playing the most this year?
Probably Ole Miss. I want to see how these beer showers are.
Well, hopefully you don't see too many of them.
Yep. Yeah.
All right, Ethan. Any inside tidbits as guys to look out for freshmen this fall? I know you'd mentioned Pitzer. What about on the offensive side of the ball? Anybody who can work their way into the lineup?
Ryan Bakes, and Tristan Salinas. They might be able to work their way into the lineup. They have top tier at bats. I mean, quality at bats every time, and they're hitting really high in the Fall World Series lineup. So I mean, they could usually punch their way in the lineup if someone's struggling, even off the bench. Because they're very talented young hitters.
So last year, Ethan, you lit the world on fire. I mean, you were one of the best, if not, arguably the best freshman in the SEC last year, maybe in the country. And what were you looking to improve on over this offseason and try and get better at?
Probably a little bit more athletic in the outfield, and step up my defense a little bit, and then obviously stay with my approach that I had last year. Knockout punch to right center every time. So, and also be a little bit more disciplined at the plate, and take my walks when I know in the situation where there's 2 outs and a man on first or nobody on. I got to be more patient and be in the zone more than ever, because someone could easily just give up a free base and just let me get on base. And because I mean, if they want to do that, I mean, I don't think they would want to do that this year, because I got Cole Messina hitting behind me and Cassis and a bunch of other guys. So I mean, probably the best lineup 1 through 9 in the country.
Yeah, you actually been able to get reps in right field during the offseason to be able to get familiar with that. I remember watching you, your first couple weeks out there, you were kind of not happy to get a really high fly ball or one close to the tarp out there. Like, you weren't really looking forward to that. How's your comfort level been with actually being able to get consistent reps out there?
Much better. Much better. I know where the wall is now. I know how close I am to the warning track, how many steps I am from the wall when I hit the warning track. I run into the wall now, catching balls instead of, letting up like I did, because I had no awareness, because it was my first year of playing outfield ever in my life. So it's pretty tough to play the outfield, especially right field. The ball's always moving a certain way. Righties slicing away from you, lefties is top spinning away from you. So, and our sun is really bad in the fall. So, it's preparing me for if we go away and we have a bad sun ball, I can work with it, because our sun's probably the worst in the SEC.
Yeah, and the wind can form a jet stream out there a little bit too.
Oh yeah. Like yesterday, Lee Croy hit a ball that was probably 98 off the bat, and I had to run. I was running at it. All of a sudden, it took off, and I had to run back to the warning track to grab it. So the wind just blows out crazy here.
So how's the team chemistry? How do you guys get along? And what do you guys do for fun outside of practice?
Well, we had 24 guys come in, and that's a lot. And we've been always hanging out every day. And I'm sure you've heard about the new Fortnite update. We've been playing Fortnite every day, playing Zone Wars with each other, and having a lot of fun. And that's kind of way we bond together. And obviously, we had a little Halloween get together where we all had costumes, and that was really fun. But this team's getting really close, and it started off a little slow, kind of like separate people, separate groups, and all of a sudden, like, it just started meshing together. And our past, like, 3 weeks of scrimmages have been the best I've ever seen scrimmages here in South Carolina.
Yeah, I heard you know how to third party a one-on-one pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm the best on the team. I was kidding.
Yeah. Well, we also know that Connor McCreary is not the best on the team. He might be the worst. So
Yeah. Yeah.
So who had the best costume at the this costume party?
Oh, well, I had Han Solo, and everyone thought I was Indiana Jones, so definitely not me.
you were just Harrison Ford in general. Like,
Yeah. I like Evan Stones. He was Anakin Skywalker, and his girlfriend was Padme.
he could be a good Anakin. I could see that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the costumes that night. Oh, Tyler Causey had a Greek god because he's like 6'7", like he's
Yeah.
6'7", 240 or like 225. Like he's a monster.
I mean, I remember there was a report that came out. He hit like 3 balls, like 110 or plus in the same day, and you're just like, yeah,
Unreal juice. I haven't seen something like that. Him in Dallas.
yeah, that's something I want to get in person to see.
Yeah, you definitely want to see it.
So it sounds like you guys are going to hit a lot of bombs this year.
Yeah, I think our lineup 1 through 9 can all knock it out of the park willingly. So it's gonna be great to see. We got Kennedy Jones from UNCG, who's obviously got the tools, got the power, got everything with him. So he's gonna put a lot of balls out.
Yeah, any sneaky transfers that kind of flew under the radar? I mean, we know guys like Ty Good, who was, Colonial Pitcher of the Year. Any other transfer guys that you're, maybe didn't catch the attention of, like a Kennedy Jones who played in the Cape and had that recognition that have really kind of balled out this fall?
Tyler Dean, he's very, very electric arm, 95, 97. I mean, he's throwing the hell out of it, and he's got an insane breaking ball. You got Garrett Gainey. He's from Liberty.
Mm-hmm.
He's very, very high-strung lefty that just throws cheese down the plate, all over the plate, and he knows how to maneuver his pitches. Got a really good changeup, and he's been really dominant this fall. And we've got a lot of transfer pitchers that have been really dominant.
Again, can never have too much pitching, and It's always good to introduce new looks. We got guys who are like 6'7", and we got lefties who can throw hellacious curveballs, and then you got just power righties. You need all of those in the SEC. You can't just have one archetype.
Yep.
Yeah, I think there's one thing we learned last year watching LSU in Florida is that power arms and power bats, and that's the way to win here in the SEC.
Yeah, that was a juggernaut fight.
What we also learned is you need to throw strikes.
Yes,
so if you have those
strikes are
arms,
huge.
Strikes.
We've been filling it up all fall, so it should be a good spring.
Yeah, I just hope that some of the guys working back from injury, can be healthy by the spring and get locked in and get ready to go, because there's a healthy amount of good pitching currently sidelined, which you'd rather have it sidelined in the fall than the spring.
Yeah, exactly. Ken Ball will be back in the probably January. Be 100% in January. Veach will be back in January. And we got a freshman pitcher, McCoy. He'll be back in January. Ricky will be back sometime during the spring, because I don't know when, but he's working really fast and he's doing really good. Polk was the same way. Michael Polk from Georgia transfer, who's been throwing the hell out of it in little flat grounds.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Polk, because I remember watching him throw when he was at Georgia, and I was like, there's more velo in him than you would think just looking at him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's a strong kid.
Well, cool, Ethan. We appreciate you taking the time. We don't want to take any more of your time up today, but we appreciate it, and we'll look forward to seeing you playing in the spring, and hopefully you break the single season SEC home run record.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, man. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye.
Well, AJ, you had to be encouraged by a lot of what he had to say.
It's always good when you hear that fall stuff is always competitive. You don't want hitters just crushing pitchers or hitters just walking all the time. And you also don't want no offense because that's also concerning. And that was kind of the report we've gotten a couple of years from South Carolina is, hey, our pitching's really good. Offense, we don't know. Got a couple guys. But this year it seems like the offense, like Ethan said, is going to be deep.
Yeah, I think that's going to be kind of the story of the SEC this year. You lost a lot of the big time arms, in the draft. So obviously new arms are going to emerge. There's going to be guys that we don't know their names, now that are going to be household names by the end of the season. But it seems like most of the, most of these schools are going to be led by offense, and then we'll see about the pitching.
Yeah, and it's always, it's weird because when the season starts, they say pitching has a head start on hitting. So it's going to be interesting to see by the time SEC play gets going, who's where with their rotation and their lineups. So, but I know we came on to talk about the permanent opponents. So
Yes.
We talked South Carolina. We will have Charlie Condon coming on later, so we're going to save Georgia for the end. And so, Alex, where do you want to start to fill up that middle?
Well, we could start with my LSU Tigers. I think they got their permanent opponents of Mississippi State and Texas A&M. Mississippi State's obviously the right choice for LSU. That's the two teams that really built the SEC when it comes to baseball. Between LSU and Mississippi State, and that's a bitter rivalry, and that just makes a ton of sense. But the Texas A&M piece is kind of kind of weird. I mean, they've been trying to make LSU and A&M rivals for a long time since A&M joined the conference, and it kind of makes sense geographically because Houston, that's a big ground for LSU and for Texas A&M. But it'll be interesting. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I know. I saw a lot of the thing on Twitter was instead of A&M, they wanted Arkansas, and have an LSU Arkansas permanent opponent. Which I don't think anyone would be opposed to. But it is, kind of the geographic, and when you're trying to fit so many pieces together, it does get difficult. I am happy that they got the LSU Mississippi State correct, because without that would feel like just a gaping wound in SEC baseball, because that's just one of the, those are the two names for SEC baseball, and you need to have those play each other, especially they're in the same division for however long we had divisions, and they played each other every year, and then to take that away would just feel wrong. So I am happy that they got that right.
I'm pulling up the. I'm gonna pull up the permanent opponents right now.
Yeah, so got LSU, and we mentioned A&M, so why not let's just flow off of A&M. Because again, for A&M, we have one that makes complete sense in Texas A&M and Texas. Again, Texas A&M and Texas, that just makes sense. And again, A&M LSU, maybe not the best fit, but definitely two teams that I could see being forced into being rivals. But I think college baseball will love Texas A&M Texas every year.
Yeah, I think Texas A&M Texas. That's a no-brainer. Those two schools. I live right outside Austin. I can tell you those two fan bases absolutely hate each other, and it's really sad that they haven't had more of a chance to interact since A&M left for the SEC. But with Texas coming back in, that's going to be a ton of fun. That series is always going to be a ton of fun to watch. I kind of wish instead of LSU that they would have had Arkansas. I think A&M Arkansas is a good rivalry, old Southwest Conference kind of deal. But like I said, for LSU, it makes some sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's just unfortunately, like when you have 16 names, you're going to have some that you look at and go, really? But it's the SEC, and there's going to be literally good baseball played everywhere. It's just a matter of kind of trying to preserve some of the rivalries. And there are some schools, like with LSU, where a lot of teams want to play LSU. LSU wants to play Ole Miss. Ole Miss wants to play LSU. LSU wants to play Arkansas. So if you have teams who want to play you and you don't have the spot, that's a good problem to have. You'd rather have people hate you because you're good than people not care about you. So for all the fan bases that are, looking at, Arkansas should be playing these people, Ole Miss should be playing these people, Mississippi State, LSU. If more people want to play you than get to play you, that's good for your program. That means people actually want to see your team play and actively dislike your team, which is hatred fuels all in sports.
Yeah, 100%. And then moving on to the next one. So we got Vanderbilt with their permanent opponents being Tennessee and Kentucky. I mean, Vanderbilt, Tennessee, that makes a ton of sense. Earlier you were talking about, South Carolina and Florida being permanent opponents, and that rivalry, being one of the best in the SEC East. Vanderbilt, Tennessee is right up there with it too.
Yeah, especially, again, one of those things where if you look at it 6 years ago, it's Vanderbilt, why are they playing Tennessee and Kentucky? They get 2 pushovers. And now you look at Vandy and Tennessee, and that's going to be a very heated series every year. And then Kentucky's no pushover. Again, hosted a regional last year. So there is, and it makes sense regionally, like geographically. Like everything is, you play who you are in Tennessee and then go north a little bit to Kentucky for Vandy from Nashville. And I think that the committee got that 100% correct. That is exactly who I think should be paired up to play Vanderbilt.
Yeah, 100%. And then looking at Tennessee's permanent opponents of Vanderbilt, which we already talked about, and then Alabama. I mean, Tennessee and Alabama, especially in football, right? The third Saturday in October, those two fan bases don't like each other. So that makes sense. And it's kind of a little bit of a break for Tennessee because, Alabama's not exactly top tier in the SEC.
Yeah, and for them, it is I'm not going to equate them to a Missouri in terms of how hard it is to get people there because Alabama's proven they can get guys there. It's holding on to them that's been kind of a bigger issue for them. But Alabama, we've seen them make runs in the top 25. We've seen them, put themselves in the hosting conversation. We have seen very good baseball be played in Tuscaloosa. And again, in the SEC, if you try to overlook them, you're going to get a guy like Andrew Pinckney who's going to pop up out of nowhere and just ruin your weekend.
Yeah, Pinckney was a stud last year, and we'll see what happens with Alabama this year after the whole debacle with Brad Bohannon and his horrible attempt at cheating, or not cheating, but at betting.
Yeah, there was nothing smooth about that. It was like, if you're going to try to do something like that, at least try to hide it.
Yeah, he was really bad at that. But, looking back at these permanent opponents, so looking at Mississippi State, I mean, you got Ole Miss and LSU. We already talked about Mississippi State and LSU, but Mississippi State and Ole Miss, I mean, that makes a total sense. You can't have one without the other.
Yep, has to happen. And again, if I'm Mississippi State and you make me pick 2 opponents, those are the 2 I pick.
100%, all day, every day. All right, so next we got Mizzou getting OU and Arkansas. I mean, I guess Mizzou's got to, somebody's got to play Mizzou. And OU coming in, their first year in the league, and they get Mizzou. And then Arkansas, I mean, that kind of makes sense just because geographically. And I think that's pretty much what Mizzou got, was just the two closest schools to them geographically.
Yeah, and I mean, you go look at A&M, they got Texas. You look at Mizzou, they got Oklahoma. It was, old Big 12 rivalries. They were always going to pair one of those two together. So that's the OU answer. And then for Arkansas, it did come down to, they don't really like each other. I think Mizzou actively doesn't like Arkansas. Arkansas kind of has other people that they care more about than Mizzou. But this right here could create a rivalry in terms of Arkansas going, Mizzou's beneath us. All it takes is Mizzou to walk in and take 2 of 3 in Fayetteville and be like, oh, we're beneath you now. And Mizzou's very capable of doing that year in and year out. Don't believe me? Ask Tennessee last year. Start off SEC play, Tennessee gets swept at Mizzou. And it's always a gritty ball club. I think they're a year or two behind where Kentucky is now, but they can very much put themselves in that conversation with that style of play, and it gets cold there. I don't think a lot of SEC teams like playing in the cold.
Yeah, Mizzou had a great start to the year last year, and then they just got ravaged by injuries. So it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see, the team this year and how they improve from year to year, getting a lot of those guys back.
Yeah, getting a new head coach, that's going to be it can either go one or two ways. You can either kind of lose some of your guys, which they did to the transfer portal, but they're also injecting new life and energy into a program. That frankly, I'm excited to see who else comes out of it.
And so going on to the next one, so we got OU Mizzou, which we just talked about, and then OU Texas. I mean, that's as obvious gets.
Yeah, again, there's Texas is always going to play OU. OU is always going to play Texas. And then Mizzou, you're going to get paired up with either Texas or Oklahoma. So here we are. And I think it's a pretty good permanent opponent for Oklahoma regionally, like geographically. And then they're just going to, alternate between getting kicked in the teeth by one half of the SEC or the other.
Yeah, Oklahoma, I mean, they were in the College World Series 2 years ago. I mean, that's a good program, but they have a tendency to be a little bit up and down as a program. So we'll see how they if they can be as consistent as some of the other big name programs, in the SEC. So moving on, we got South Carolina, which we kind of already talked about. South Carolina, Kentucky, and Florida. Mentioned them already, and then Georgia. So we got Georgia and Florida, and then Georgia and Auburn as their two.
Let's save him for when we get Charlie Condon on here in a little bit. But I'm excited to see, just a quick comment, I'm excited to see what Wes Johnson can do, because Georgia to me is a sleeping giant. They are in prime recruiting territory. They have a guy who they can build around as a head coach. I'm excited to see where he's able to take Georgia in the next couple of years.
Yeah, that's one of the things I'm really looking forward to talking to Charlie Condon about, is what dynamics have changed, at Georgia with Wes Johnson coming in, because, I'm sure Wes Johnson's a great coach in his own right, and I'm sure, especially on the pitching side, and then I'm sure he learned a lot from Jay Johnson when it came to recruiting and just being that relentless recruiter. So it'll be fun to see what he's able to do there. So moving on to Kentucky. So we kind of already talked about them, with South Carolina and Vanderbilt as their two permanent opponents. But what Nick Mingione has done up there in Kentucky and kind of reshaping that team, and they play an old school style of baseball, a style of baseball you really don't usually see in the SEC. But man, they play it really well, and it works.
And it's so frustrating to play against. Especially if they can get, their leadoff guy on base and create a little bit of havoc on the base paths. You're like, we just want a breath. We just want a break. And they don't strike out a lot. They're not going to blow you away with their stuff on the mound usually, until they get in their bullpen. And then they do have some dudes who can execute some pitches and shut you down. But it's a lot of, they don't beat themselves. And in college baseball, a lot of teams beat themselves pretty often.
Yeah, I mean, Kentucky's just an extremely well coached baseball team, and like you said, they just don't make mistakes. They just play a really clean brand of baseball, and I mean, they're fun to watch just because they're always running. There's always something happening when Kentucky's at bat.
Yeah, and they got a ton of upperclassmen back this year, so they're returning a ton of experience off of a team that really took the next step for where they were the previous years. I think they really played how they wanted to play last year. Obviously they didn't want their season to end in Baton Rouge, but if you're going to have your season end in a super, it might as well be to the eventual national champion,
For sure.
So, but they wouldn't surprise me at all if they were exactly back in that situation and people look up and go, Kentucky, yeah, Kentucky, they can play.
100%. All right, so moving on to Ole Miss. So their permanent opponents, Mississippi State, which we already talked about, and then Arkansas. I think Ole Miss fans are probably pretty happy with this draw. Mississippi State, obviously, that was a no-brainer. And then Arkansas. I mean, Arkansas and Ole Miss. I mean, that's a pretty good. Those are two really good teams and two big-time fan bases that maybe I don't know if they're exactly rivals, but they're passionate fan bases. They both love their baseball, and so that's going to be a ton of fun.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, again, rivals in the SEC West, I feel like there are levels because you have your Ole Miss, Mississippi State. It's not on that level, but there's definitely tension and animosity in the air when Arkansas fans are at Ole Miss or when Ole Miss fans are trying to attend a game at Arkansas. Like, those are hostile environments for both opposing teams. It's always going to be great baseball played between those two programs. It is perennially if I had to circle kind of my outside of my rivalry picks, series that I'm locked in on, it's one of them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's always a great brand of baseball, and those are great facilities with great fan bases. And hopefully Ole Miss can have a little bit of a bounce back year. Last year was kind of rough. I mean, not coming off the national championship, and then they just looked inept at times last year. But hopefully they can have a bounce back year this year.
Yeah, it's hard to play when you really only have 3 or 4 guys being consistent, especially in the SEC. It's consistent and healthy. They just really never got going last year, and can't do anything there.
Yep. So now we'll go ahead and bring on our next special guest here, Charlie Condon. How you doing, man?
What's up, guys? How are y'all doing?
Doing good. Thanks for taking the time to talk with us.
Oh, no, absolutely. I appreciate y'all having me on.
Yeah,
anytime, man.
So we were just talking about the permanent matchups and everything, and we had, skipped over Georgia because we were waiting to talk with you. But one thing that we'd expressed is the excitement with Wes Johnson taking over the head coaching role and kind of the energy and stuff that he's going to inject into the program. What have you seen under him just, really for the fall since he's got on campus?
Oh, no, it's been awesome. Coach Johnson's been massive for chemistry, just bringing in all the knowledge that he's had being around the SEC and big league programs with the Twins for a while. He's been massive just for pitcher development, but then also just establishing a new culture of, just believing in yourself is one of the big things he drives home. So it's been awesome to have him. We're lucky to have him.
Did they lock you out of the facility?
Yeah, dude. It's crazy. They're so stickler about this fingerprint thing. I'm working on it. I apologize.
No, you're good, man. No, we love to see guys going in. That's you got to put the work in if you want to win, right?
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, they're man. You'd swear you could find a way in this place.
I think if anyone could, it would probably be you.
We might be having to take an alternate route here in a second.
Uh-oh.
All right, so for the first time in a long time, there's no Tate in the Georgia clubhouse. We had Connor and Tate for a while. there's a ton of new guys coming through the program. No Ben Anderson, guys who kind of just been there for a while. The new guys coming in, what have you seen from how y'all have been able to gel and play together in the fall?
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, we were really active in the portal this off season, just trying to go get some guys that have some college experience and have had big high pressure situation at bats. And so we've definitely got what it takes to be an SEC lineup that's not fun to pitch against. We've also got a good crop of freshman class, some guys that were really talented high school players and are going to project great here at the next level. So I mean, it's all really exciting. It's going to be a little bit of a gauntlet 1 through 9, and it's been a competitive fall. Just guys competing for spots, and that's kind of what you're looking for in a fall. But it's been all really productive and good.
So, what are some of the biggest changes you've seen with Wes Johnson coming in?
Yeah, it's he's a big analytics guy, big technology analytics, stuff like that. So I don't get to see all the behind the scenes of it, not being a pitcher, but I live with 2 pitchers, and they're always coming home talking about it and super excited about all the metric stuff and all the analysis that they get just with the force plate mounds and stuff like that. I can't dive too deep into it because I don't really know too much about what I'm talking about. But I mean, it's just been really good. I mean, he's got so many stories and so much knowledge to share just with his path throughout baseball and how long he's been around the game. But just to have his mind and he's such a good baseball mind, it's going to be a massive weapon for us in the spring.
Yeah, I know on the mound last year, having guys stay healthy, a little bit of consistency was issue game to game. Who are some guys this year that you're looking to, or who have balled out this fall and can take that step to kind of, anchor a rotation or anchor a bullpen?
Oh yeah, no doubt. So we've got some good returning guys coming back from the staff. Some of the big names that jump out to me that have been great this fall and had really good summers are Chandler Marsh and Leighton Finley are 2 guys that both went up to the Cape this summer. I think Chandler was with Harwich and Leighton was with YD, and both I admire those guys so much and their ability to just put their head down and get work done. They're going to be just big anchors, whether it be they can both hold a rotation spot or be big time out of the pen for us. But they've been big leaders this fall as far as just kind of rallying the troops in the pen and on the staff. They're going to be 2 guys that I'd be on the lookout for this spring.
So, who's the pitcher that you least look forward to facing?
From our team or from around the SEC?
We'll keep it within your team. You don't got to face them during the regular season.
My most uncomfortable at bat, I hate to give it to him because he's gonna love hearing it, but Will Pearson has my number and there's no getting around it. He's been a big time just matchup bullpen out of the bullpen guy for us. But he's a little sidearm righty guy and just picks me apart with no remorse. But he's been great for us and he's gonna do great things for us this year as well.
Yeah, so as long as he doesn't spill the secrets, then I think I'd be the only one who can pick you apart.
Exactly. I got to find a way to keep him quiet.
Yeah.
Charlie, you go ahead.
I was going to just get to your thoughts on the permanent opponents for Georgia moving forward. You got Florida and Auburn. When you saw that released, what'd you think?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I think the whole scheduling thing, it's really cool, and especially I'm not too surprised by how it turned out. I think it's awesome to have the Georgia-Florida rivalry as something that can be a reoccurring event. It's always so fun going down to Gainesville this past year, and then we'll have them up here in Athens this year. But just being able to just a tradition that's so old and goes back so far throughout all the different sports. It's awesome to be a part of that. And then Auburn also is kind of, people don't really recognize it as much of a rivalry as it really feels. But just that's also through other sports and things like that. But those are just 2 really good close by opponents that feel like interstate rivals, but they might not be geographically, but they're 2 always really fun series.
Yeah, people might not know it, but Georgia and Auburn do not like each other.
No, No, they don't.
There's no love
I mean-
lost when those two get together.
I mean, it's called the South's oldest rivalry for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So where are you most looking forward to playing this year?
Yeah, that's one of the big things I've been trying to work on this fall is to kind of be a little bit of a versatile position piece. I've bounced around corner infield, corner outfield, played a little center. I think I feel most comfortable in the corner outfields, whether it be left or right. I don't have much of a preference there, but just kind of being a guy that can move around within the lineup if that needs to be the case, just whether it be based off pitching matchups or anything of that nature.
Yeah. Flexibility never hurts.
Yeah, exactly.
So what stadiums and venues are you most looking forward to visiting this year?
No doubt. Yeah, we had a good road schedule last year, but also a really strong one this year. I'm really looking forward to Tennessee and South Carolina. I know y'all just got done talking with Big E, but getting to go see those guys will be really fun at Founders. And then Tennessee's always a great spot too. But I think we've got them, and then we've got A&M on the road as well. So College Station's going to be really cool to see. I mean, there's not a park in the SEC that's not fun to go to, though. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, especially when you swing it like you do. they can all be pretty fun.
Thank you.
So what was your main focus for improvement in this offseason?
Yeah, I'd say it's just kind of some of that position versatility like we just talked about, and then also just working on expanding my frame. I'm a little bit of a leaner guy, but just trying to add some pounds and strength wherever we can, while still keeping my range of motion and flexibility and swing patterns all the same. But other than that, just trying to not overcomplicate things too much and just really get comfortable with this new squad that's going to do really big things here in the spring.
Man, if you're adding power, the SEC better watch out.
Yeah.
That's the focus.
So if you had to define what a successful season for Georgia baseball would be this year, what do you think it'd be?
Oh, we're going all the way to Nebraska, man. I mean, just to get all the way out there to the postseason, that's where this team belongs. The talent that's in the state of Georgia is unmatched. Just as far as the high school level, and this state deserves to be a consistent postseason team, which I think it's really going to be here in the next coming years. But we want to host. We want to host a super. We want to do all that, and I think it could be coming to Athens pretty soon.
Yeah, y'all bringing in a top 10 recruiting class this year.
Yeah.
I guess this year being for next year, but y'all just signed a top 10 recruiting class. It seems like we all know Wes Johnson can recruit and coach. So having that guy operating in the middle of Georgia, he's going to get some dudes.
Absolutely. It's going to be massive. It's going to be scary to see where this program is going to go in the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, I always refer to Georgia as right now they're a sleeping giant.
Exactly.
It's everything. The facilities are there, the talent is around. It's just a matter of getting those guys in Bulldog uniforms and then having those guys healthy out on the field.
Right. Yeah, no doubt. That's a big focus over here.
Find your way in the stadium.
Yeah, man, I'm wandering around the outfield right now. I jumped the fence to get out here.
Charlie Condon, break it in to the Georgia Stadium.
Yeah, here we are.
Nice.
Little impromptu tour.
So who are some of the newcomers on this team that everybody should be looking out for?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a lot. I'll start with the bats first. I'd say Dylan Carter, Clayton Chadwick, two guys out of the state of Texas. Dylan coming from Texas Tech and Clayton coming from Sam Houston. Both going to be really big guys. And then one more Texas guy that's kind of hard to even forget about, the freshman All-American Colby Branch out of Baylor. Just going to do massive things for the top half, middle part of this lineup. Just dudes that have consistent at-bats and are really gritty and tough to get out, and really solid defensively too. I mean, watching Dylan Carter run around in the outfield has been a ton of fun this spring. Dude covers some ground out there, but I'd say those are some of the big three. And then from the staff-wise, I'd say Zach Harris out of Georgia Southern. I think he was one of their weekend rotation guys. He's been 5 to 6 this fall and just been all over it. but plenty of guys, Joshua Burge, who's an older guy coming from, he's been D3, D2, been all over the place, but he's an older dude, but he's been 5 to 7 for us this fall, and just guys commanding the zone and taking charge of at bats and really just controlling the strike zone. It's really encouraging.
Yeah, throwing strikes, got to be a problem a couple times for y'all last year.
Right.
How has I know you're not a pitcher, but as a hitter, have you seen pitchers consistently fill up the zone more than you did at this point last year?
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, Coach Johnson's big on that stuff. Just going out there and trusting knowing what you're good at and being able to execute it. It's been really competitive for the hitters. It's been a pretty even fall. Coach Johnson, we've always got the TrackMan strike zone on the scoreboard, so they're getting squeezed up there, and it makes it a little bit easier for hitters. But it's definitely those edges will soften up a little bit once the spring rolls around, and I think these guys are going to be able to execute and get ahead and just put guys away, which is what we need.
Yeah, we've seen some reports out of Georgia fall camp. Have you popping off a little bit? How's fall felt for you personally?
No, it's been good. It's always just fun to get back in the swing and having consistent at bats. We just kind of rolled right from spring into summer ball, and then getting back to campus here this fall. It's nice to never really have too much of the time off, except coming up here for Christmas. But going home will be nice too. But no, it's been a ton of fun just to share the locker room with these new guys and just get to make so many good friends that you'll keep in touch with for the rest of your life.
Yeah, with all these new guys coming in, how's the team chemistry? How are you guys gelling as a team?
Oh, it's great. One of those guys I mentioned earlier, Dylan Carter, he's just an absolute glue guy for us in the locker room. He just kind of jumped right in, and he's just awesome for everybody. And I think there's not a guy on this roster that I wouldn't consider a good friend of mine. Everybody's just so close. We're not a cliquey group. Everybody kind of hangs out together away from the field, which I think is one of the big keys that doesn't maybe get talked about as much, but just having just a tight knit group that like just can always mold together and enjoy spending time with each other on the field and away from it.
Yeah, you always hear about you don't ever hear about the cliquey teams. You just hear about like locker room issues, and then you hear about cohesive teams. So it seems like the cohesive teams are the ones who actually have success during the year.
Absolutely,
That's a huge part of it.
It's a long spring, and the ability to play for each other and play together, it just makes it so much easier and so much more effective.
So Ethan Petry was talking to us about all the Fortnite that those guys play. Is Georgia a big Fortnite school?
It's making a comeback. I can't lie. I've been on it the past couple of days, probably more than I need to be. But no, it's been good. It's just another way for guys to chill away from the field. But yeah, I'd say it's definitely making a comeback in Athens too. They're not the only ones dealing with stuff like that.
Yeah. Where do you drop? Where's your go-to landing spot?
Man, I'm a passive guy. I'm hanging around the corners. I'm Snobby Shores. Maybe now and then if I'm feeling frisky, I'll go retail row or something like that. But other than that, I'm passive, and I'm hiding in bushes for sure.
Yeah, I was always a land in Lonely Lodge, take that tall tower, and then just make my trek into wherever I needed to go.
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe I'm too old. I was never a Fortnite guy.
Yeah, you're too old. All right, Charlie. Thank you for squeezing us in. I know it's been.
No, of course.
We literally were able to grab you on your way into the facilities. What time, or I guess, what is y'all's Fall World Series looking like? And, what can we expect to see from Georgia in general this spring?
Yeah, we had our last fall exhibition against KSU this past Sunday, so that was kind of the end marker of our fall season. We played our 2 exhibitions against Florida and then KSU over here. It was really good. Got to see a lot of guys get good at bats, and just it's always nice playing against someone wearing a different color after playing so many inter squads in the fall. But this spring it's exciting, man. I get chill bumps talking about it, but it's going to be a high firepower offense with the defense that can back up the staff. It's going to be a complete package, and I think it's going to be a big jump from last year.
Awesome. I always say that there are certain teams when they're better, college baseball is better, and Georgia is one of those teams to where a good competitive, week in, week out, solid Georgia team just elevates the sport.
Absolutely.
Well, Charlie, we're looking forward to watching you play this spring, and looking forward to maybe you breaking the single season home run record.
Yeah, that sounds great. That's no complaints here with something like that. I appreciate y'all.
All right, well, thanks, man. We'll catch you later.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks for hopping on.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they don't get mad that I told them both I want them to break the season home run record.
Hey, they were in a little bit of a race last year, and it worked out pretty well. So
yeah.
But yeah, not bad for first show. You get 2 freshman All-Americans. You get the SEC Freshman of the Year. It's a pretty good start. Yeah,
I'd say so. And looking forward to doing some more shows here in the preseason. I think we'll get a over the next few weeks. We'll get some shows together, do some breakdown, go team by team, talk about fall and preview kind of what each team is going to look like this spring. And then we'll get into the season.
Yeah, it's off season now, but in college baseball there really is no off season. There's right, always grinded behind the scenes, and we'll do our best to keep you engaged and connected with the sport and what's going on before the season gets started. So,
all right. Well, thanks, AJ. We'll catch everybody next time.
Yes, sir.